I'm Ann.
And I'm Monica, and this is the podcast where we unleash our inner child.
Ooh.
And go flashback to the good old days of kids' movies where you learn a lesson.
Isn't it cute? I'm going to be honest.
Learn a little something about yourself.
I've never leashed my inner child. It's just there all the time.
It's always
next
there.
to me. People are like...
I mean, I feel like you never really lose it. It just kind of... It's just always in the back of your mind.
Do. But...
yeah. That's really sad.
It would be real sad. That's why we all cried when Bing Bong died. So... Because we all...
Oh my God. Like, don't even talk about Bing Bong.
Okay.
Don't even speak of Bing Bong. Okay. So if you couldn't tell by... This is not going to be a sad episode, I promise. No. If you can't tell by the title, we are talking about family movies today. It's like kids and family movies, but I feel like kids movies and family movies are two different things, though, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like family movies specifically, like, it's those ones where... it teaches you a lesson at the end, and then there's a little humor for the parents in there too. It's like different for me than like just kids movies.
I feel like kids movies are those straight to DVD, like, you know, Barbie movies. Those are like even though I do enjoy Barbie movies, don't get me wrong, but they are intended for children. Versus these will probably get released in theaters and like are meant for everyone
and
to
it's
watch.
like the ones where you bring your whole family to, and it's like it's meant for like your parents to enjoy it and stuff too.
The whole family to have a good time. Exactly.
Yeah. So this is technically part of our evolution of series that we unknowingly started. we did the evolution of teen rom-coms. That was our second ever episode, I think.
That was so fun.
And then we also did the evolution of comedy movies.
We did.
So this time we're taking it to the family movies. And I feel like a lot of people don't even realize how much of an impact these movies had on their childhood. You know what I mean? Like, it's we're gonna get into some of the specific ones, and you might be like, oh yeah, like wow, I watched a lot of those movies because they're movies that everyone watched as a kid. So
it's just like it's not very much set out as a category. I feel if you think about it, like people aren't like, oh
yeah, there's a lot of range
because
in there,
you can definitely do both. You can be a comedic family movie, or you could be a dramatic family movie. You know, there's a lot of stuff.
Fantasy,
so
there's lots of different things. Action family movies,
all of those.
Everything.
So I feel like that's why it doesn't get its own like credit as much or topic, but it is very important, you know, because I feel like it's a sign of like where people are at. I think it's the most accurate in terms of like what people are thinking or what society is like valuing. You know, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. Makes sense. Yeah. So, I think we're just going to go by different eras. For our teen rom-com movie, we went through different eras because each era had a specific type. And then for comedy movies, we just went through the different subgenres because, like, there wasn't really a trend in terms of, like, time period. I feel like it was just... But I think for this time, we're going through time period because there's... Every era has, like, a different vibe. For sure. You know? So we're just gonna go through those eras, talk about some movies, do a little discussion. You know how it is.
Get it going.
You know how it goes.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start.
So I guess I can start with our first category if you want me to. But so our first little era that we picked was just everything from the 1970s and everything before that. Because honestly, I feel like family movies weren't that. Like that I could find based on my research. They weren't as popular, maybe because TVs weren't still that much available, and like maybe because kids didn't watch TV as much, like, you know what I mean, like parents just sent their kids outside, just be like, yo, just go play outside. Why like the TV seems like it was more of like an adult type of thing. I could be wrong. I'm born in 1999. Like
I think it also has to do with literally the times, like there were wars happening, so I think just the amount of movies that were being made was just less, period. There's just way more movies being made now. But
there was like a lot of iconic movies from like the 70s, 60s, 50s, those type of thing. But like, I feel like TV was not geared towards kids
I also think, you know? I agree with you in the sense...
Because you'll notice as we move through the eras, like it gets more and more kid-like.
I think it has to do with also the innocence of children has increased over time. Like people wanting to keep the innocence of children. So sometimes they would have kids watch... Like the rating system wasn't really a thing either. So they would have kids watch... those movies anyways, you
adult
know,
movies
that
too.
would be deemed adult.
That's what I'm saying. I think like they didn't realize yet the like market for kids that there was, you know what I mean? Like they didn't produce like I think the word I'm looking for is like blockbuster movies were not really aimed towards kids.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
That I can think of. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like, why would we make a movie just for kids? Like the adults are the one who are going to pay for the ticket to go to the movie theater, right? So some of the movies we have in our list here, if you go from like earliest, we're talking like Wizard of Oz, pretty iconic. Mary Poppins, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. What I could find when I was looking like older ones was all the like Charlie Brown movies, which are like the little cartoon ones. I think those were like television movies. I could be wrong, but like The Sound of Music, and there was also a bunch of movies from the 60s and 70s that like weren't really that like big, but then they got remade later into more popular remakes. So like The Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, Herbie, Charlotte's Web, The Lorax. There's a whole bunch of them that I didn't even know were old movies at first, but that's like pretty much all I could find that would like a lot of people would know.
I mean, there's a lot of animated movies too, like Snow White, 1937, and like Fantasia.
Like we should probably mention like we're not going to talk about Disney too much, just because I feel like Disney's a given in every if we're talking about family movies. So we're just going to try to talk about like mostly live action, but like just not non-Disney ones.
Not as much,
because there's a difference. Disney is like a category of its own, like a genre of its own.
It's usually and in the animation realm it would be so. But I haven't seen a lot of these. I've only seen Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka. I guess I've probably seen Charlie Brown like all over the place. I don't know if I've seen the old ones. I probably saw more modern ones. And Sound of Music, I think those are because
Sound of Music was like, I loved that movie as a kid, but it's not like a kid's movie.
I didn't even grow up on Sound of Music.
For all ages movie.
It was just like a later thing.
I grew up on it.
And then Charlotte's Web. I
never watched the old one.
Okay, I don't think so either, because I'm like, I didn't even know there was like an old one, so that's why it's shocking.
I've had to. I when I was researching, I found it. I was like, oh,
how did they make the TikTok?
I think it's animated. I could be wrong. I think it's an animated.
I was like,
movie. I could be wrong.
I was like, they were not ready to make pig stock.
No. I'm pretty sure it's an animated movie, like fully animated.
I see.
But and I haven't seen. I know I've seen clips of the original Parent Trap movie. And I've never seen any clips of the original Freaky Friday movie.
No, I've only seen like pictures when I found it on the internet.
So I mean, I guess it's just this is not the particular era for family movies. No. Like we'll get into some other eras and it's gonna be really obvious that like this is when it really took off. And I do think it's like an industry thing. I definitely think that like they didn't realize how much profit there was there to produce like blockbuster movies just for kids, because now kids are like the biggest demographic. Like if you want to sell stuff, you sell it to kids. Like if you want to make a lot of profit, you have to market your thing. That's why a lot of this is like totally off topic kind of, but that's why a lot of YouTubers nowadays are like trying to target kids, like what I mean, like back in the day in like 2013-14, again this is a tangent, but a lot of YouTubers would just be like, they wouldn't care, like they would just be swearing, they would just be like saying whatever the hell they want. But then now it's like YouTubers are a bit more cautious with that, because they know that like if they gear their content towards everybody, like kids included, then they can make way more money. So a lot of them don't do that kind of stuff anymore. I'm just thinking of the YouTubers we used to watch when we were younger. It was like, I don't know, Kingsley and like Tyler Oakley. They were all just like, they were just talking about whatever the hell they want. But now it's like they have to gear a little bit more towards kids. So I think it's definitely a more recent discovery that kids are profitable. They also kind of sad to think about. They're just exploiting these children.
Honestly though, it's not even, it's on top of it though, it's kind of sad the other way too, because I remember that children were deemed as like stupid, like people didn't like them, like it was just like, oh, children are here, like
they're like a nuisance,
like until you can help with the farm, like you're not really a ting, like that's what they so I think it was also like a belittling thing, like it's just like, oh, kids, like,
that's true,
what do they
that's
know,
true.
like kind of thing.
But pretty much
I guess we'll move on to the next.
So pre like 1980, it was kind of just not really like sparse. I would say any kind of like family movies were a little bit sparse. Okay, so I guess the next era is the 1980s.
That
did you want to go in about that one?
Less familiar to me, but they're like a lot of references.
I'm not too familiar with these ones, but these are still iconic movies.
The Goonies, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, the original Karate Kid, Princess Bride, and E.T. So those are some big
there's
ones.
Many more also,
so those are there's many more, but those are very like iconic movies.
I think the trend I'm seeing now is like definitely action adventure. Seems like I know there's some more. Isn't there like a movie called like Stand By Me or something like that?
I'm not familiar with that movie.
It's like something similar to the Goonies. It's like a group of kids. I don't know, but basically just like action adventure movies, still kind of not just geared towards kids, because Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Karate Kid, even like adults watch those movies.
Yeah,
my parents told me that they would watch like E.T. They were like already in their adulthood by then. So
sure. It was like a big, I think it moved into like movies are for everybody kind of thing in terms of the mindset. And I think they did really well, because these are movies that are still referenced like today. People still care a lot about them. And like, like even in like shows now, like obviously, for example, Stranger Things, like they referred back to Ghostbusters because those movies would have been popular in the era that they were
and that's why it worked, because those movies were applied to everybody. So like they were popular at the time because like everyone wanted to go watch it, and then the kids who grew up with them still talk about it now because now they're adults. So like now they're still popular because those people were kids and grew up with them, kind of, rather than like the other ones where it was like not really super kids movies. So it was like the kids who were kids at that time, they don't really talk about those type of movies because it's like they probably didn't really grow up watching those movies.
For sure.
But in the 80s, I think that's when it started to become a little more popular, where they were like, okay, kids are liking the television.
And there was a lot of like emphasis on like supernatural / like foreign things, like mystical stuff. You could see a lot of it was like surreal. Like it's not about kids movies, were less like contemporary, as in like not day-to-day life, but like something crazy happening to
like
kid.
Kids like going through an adventure. Basically.
Exactly. Like we don't not slice of life or contemporary. They're like, let's get fantasy / adventure, like you said. And they really
even like Karate Kid is like pretty adventurous. Like this guy's becoming a karate kid.
Like, it was pretty
I think the 80s, like definitely in general, 80s movies are pretty like iconic, and they're very like 80s. Like, I feel like 80s movies have a specific vibe to them. They did well, but still not, I think not yet the golden era of kids movies. I mean, we're gonna get into the next one after. I don't think the 80s is definitely not. That's definitely not the golden era of kids movies. Family movies or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know too much. I've only seen like 2 or 3 of the ones, so I can't speak too much
me too.
on it. But I'm sure if you ask different people, you're going to get different
that's very true.
eras. But
very true.
Yeah, we could go on to the probably where it's going to get even more relevant for the rest of us.
Yes. Yeah. So the 90s was, I think, like a big breakthrough. Family movies seem to be a really big thing because there's so many iconic ones. Just to name a few, like Home Alone, Jumanji, Matilda, The Sandlot, Mrs. Doubtfire, Hook, a lot of Robin Williams here. Yeah. Dr. Dolittle, It Takes Two, Jurassic Park, My Girl, all those Air Bud movies. There's like a bunch of them. The Parent Trap, Cheaper by the Dozen. I think I put it in 90s because I don't remember.
I think it is 1991.
Either 90s or like 2001 or something like that. Cheaper by the Dozen. Lots of them. And this is, I think, where we're getting into, like you said, a little bit more of like sort of like a slice of life movie, like not as much fantastical, but now we're getting more into like comedy. Like, I think they realize kids want to see like stuff that they can relate to a little bit more, like, oh, it's like funny family moments or like stuff like that. And personally, these ones I grew up watching a lot of. So I guess like it's kind of biased for me to say like this is one of the most iconic eras, I think, for like family movies, but just because I grew up watching all these, but like these are classic like family movies. Like it's like the ones where it's good for kids and for adults. Like everyone finds it funny.
For sure.
Like I still watch Home Alone with my family. I still watch Matilda by myself, Mrs. Doubtfire, all of those things. Like, and they're like wholesome, and it's like you start kind of like learning a bit of a lesson too.
Yeah, there's a little bit. I feel like they became more about family lessons, like lessons about your family. Back then it was like lessons, like for example, Karate Kid is not really a lesson about family. It's more like about like strength and like discipline. But versus like all of these, it's like found families or like how to deal with your family or like the importance of it. Literally all of
like
these.
Now we're getting more into like like really family movies, not really like kids. Now it's like these are movies that the whole family can watch and the whole family can learn from. I feel like especially the one that I can think of the most is like a really good lesson is like Cheaper by the Dozen. It kind of just shows that like the whole family dynamic, like the Cheaper by the Dozen is interesting because it's like the whole point is just their family dynamic. There's nothing really crazy or anything. Like it's just all this family, and it's like not everybody has 12 brothers and sisters, but like people can still relate to like relationship with your siblings and your parents, and your one parent's really busy and the other one, and all that kind of stuff. And like at the end they kind of learn to be like, you know what, we're family at the end of the day. that kind of stuff. And, it's just like nice little lessons. I mean, personally, The Parent Trap, probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I love The Parent Trap. I used to watch it all the time.
Yes. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap movie, iconic.
Absolutely.
I freaking
fabulous.
Love that movie so much.
Loved it
so much. Like, that movie made me want to go to like summer camp because I'm like, I'm gonna meet my long lost twin.
Yeah, I was like, I want to go. I was lame. I was like, I want to go to a vineyard. That was my takeaway.
Oh, that too. I didn't even know what a vineyard was when I was like, what is a vineyard? And then I'm like, oh,
because I knew what it was, and then I was like, I saw it. I guess I don't remember where I saw it, but the squishing grape stuff, where people do that. I was like,
yeah,
this is the way to go. And I just remember thinking, I forget, rest in peace, the actress's name, but I remember thinking she was like the prettiest person like I've ever seen.
Which one?
The one who plays the mom. She's like, she passed away.
Oh yeah, she passed away. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, she was so
I remember
pretty.
her being so effortless, and it was like one of the first times I had seen short hair on a woman, like on TV like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the way. Like, I was like, look at this.
That movie's so good.
Ugh, love it.
I'm gonna go rewatch it probably. It's so good. But yeah, I think these movies, like, they have a definite like a wholesome, I think that's what I was looking for, more like wholesome feel to it. Obviously there's some outliers, like stuff like Jurassic Park and like Hook. There's always gonna be like the action adventure movies, but I think the ones that like the family ones were starting to get a little more popular.
Yeah. But I also think I want to point out, I think 90s low-key the movies were pretty dark, like if you think about it.
Oh yeah, like some of them had some pretty
My Girl is not even like dark in a subtle way. It's dark, okay, like
it's just dark.
Like, my gosh. And Matilda too is pretty dark, like if you think about like what's actually happening.
Matilda's dark. It's like it has a happy ending, but like it's what she goes through is pretty bad.
Mrs. Doubtfire, not as dark, but it's still sad, like the idea of your parents divorce and like custody stuff and all that stuff. It's just Parent Trap too, dealing with parents with divorce, and they're cute about it, but they really did separate sisters for years. That's pretty messed up if you think about it.
It is.
And I don't know if you've seen it.
That's what makes it relatable too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it more relatable. It's like they really wanted to hone in on like, okay, what kind of stories can we tell about families? Because there's different things going on. It's not just all happy dandy.
No, it's not.
Oh, an alien's coming down from the sky and everything else is perfect. And there's things that happen.
Might I add? I feel like parental involvement grew in the 90s in terms of like in the movies, because I feel like before it was like kids going on kids adventures and like parents are just like a background
in the background.
And I've always not liked that, because I was like, when you're a kid, your parents are like a big part of your life.
A big part of your life.
Like half of the stuff you do is because like, oh yeah, this is okay with my parents, So I'm like, it would be really unrealistic to have these like adventures and be like, your mom's not gonna care what you're doing, like, But in these movies, they started putting more emphasis on, I think moms especially. It was a big thing, like moms being like, Timmy, like, like, where did he go? Like, if there's an adventure, like the mom is like trying to find him, But I think it was a good era for sure. I
personally love the 90s kids movies. They're great. Like between the 90s and the 2000s, it's a pretty tight race over which one's my favorite. I did, because like the 2000, I think the 2000s might just edge over it. Like slight.
See, edge. If we can move on to the 2000s, if that's okay with you.
Yes. You go ahead.
So to name a few: Daddy Daycare, Enchanted, Akeelah and the Bee, Spy Kids, Are We There Yet? Charlotte's Web, the remake, Night at the Museum,
yes,
Princess and the Frog, College Road Trip, stuff like that.
There's like so many. But
why 2000s wins for me is you can see there's much more diversity in the 2000s. Like, honestly,
that's
the amount of
oh my god,
I'm just looking at it now. Is crazy, right? And I think
I'm just looking at it now, and I'm like, that's so true.
And I think it has to do with, in the 90s there was the writer's strike, which like a lot of black sitcoms came from that, because they were able to like take up the slots of like what probably would have been white sitcoms, right? So people started getting used to seeing black families on TV, like Fresh Prince, what's the sister, the one with the Cosby Show, sorry about him, but he was a big deal.
And Martin,
all that stuff. So people living single, blah blah blah, keep going. All that stuff was like, you know what, this is a market, black people have money to spend. It's crazy. So I feel like Daddy Daycare, Akeelah and the Bee, Are We There Yet? College Road Trip. Yeah, all of that stuff showcase like some really interesting black experiences,
like family dynamics and stuff like that.
And I think that was really dope. Plus, I was like old enough to see a lot of these, so I think that was like one of the best.
That makes sense.
But
these ones are so iconic really too. Good. Like Daddy Daycare, so iconic.
Love that movie.
A Cute and the Bee, I feel like is a little more like underrated, but like I loved A Cute and the Bee. It was so good. It was one of my favorite movies growing up. Like just like maybe because I used to do spelling bees too when I was a kid, so I was just like just watching her like overcome a bunch of stuff and like a lot of the obstacles and Night at the Museum. I cannot even explain to you how many times I watched Night at the Museum. I love that movie. Yeah. Just like I think there's diversity too in like the representation and also diversity in the type of movie too. True. Like in the 90s it was very family focused, but now I feel like they branched out a lot because they, like I said, over time they slowly realized how big of a market kids are. So like stuff like Spy Kids I feel like is teetering more towards an actual kids movie. Like it's just like about kids for kids, like action. It's an action movie for kids. Literally that's what it is. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a James Bond for kids. And then you have like the wholesome family movies like Charlotte's Web, also one of my favorites growing up. Anything I had like on DVD growing up was like my favorite. So you have like the wholesome ones, and then you have the more adventure comedy ones like Night at the Museum, and then you had your typical like fairy tales still happening. For sure, like,
but they were like changing it up the way it was. And
and I just think this 2000s was great.
It was early 2000s.
So good. Early 2000s was like the sweet spot,
I really also I think that's the biggest points I had. I thought it's a good era. Definitely the ones I rewatched the most
yes, that's often. Probably what it is.
That's
like,
what I was saying.
The 90s are classics, but I would definitely rewatch the 2000s a lot. Also, like I said, we're probably biased because we are 2000s for kids. Sure. But no, I really like those ones.
Love them. And plus a lot of sequels, which is funny, from the 90s also happened in the 2000s. Like Cheaper by the Dozen, they kept making
Cheaper by the Dozen too,
all those movies. Good. The second one was my favorite, the one where they have like a competition. I
love the second one. It's so good. I think it's better.
I think it's the best one.
Better than the first one.
Yeah.
Eugene Levy, like hello, like, he's right there.
Of course.
And I love the second one a lot. Actually, I had that one on DVD, so that's why I watched.
I remember the second one the best. I think, if I'm really being honest, yeah.
Because see, the thing with me and my family is, for some reason, all of the like we used to have a bunch of like movies on DVDs, but then for some reason all the first movies in the series we would have on like video cassette, and then the sequels we would have on DVD because when they came out later, DVDs became more popular. So then our video cassette player like wasn't connected to our TV anymore, so like I didn't know how to use it, so I would only watch the DVDs. So like I only would watch the sequels. This is why when people look at me weird when I say I used to watch The Lion King 2 more than The Lion King 1. It's because we had The Lion King 1 on video cassette and we had The Lion King 2 on DVD, so like I only knew.
I didn't even know it existed until you told me, because I was confused. I thought The Lion King didn't even know either. 1.5 was the second one. Like when you were talking about it, I was like, 1.5.
That one too.
You mean? And you were like, no, the one where he has a daughter, and I was like, huh?
Yeah, I love the second one. It's like, that's what I'm saying, because we had the first and 1.5 on video cassette, but then because our video cassette player, we didn't like, it wasn't, because video cassettes were like slowly fading out. Sure. So we got a DVD player, and I grew up with the DVD player, so I knew that's the only thing I knew how to work. So I would always watch The Lion King 2, and I thought like it was so much better than the first one.
What? Okay.
Like I used to think when I was a kid. Okay. No, like now I'm like, okay.
Obviously, yes.
Equal,
that's hilarious. I can't believe.
I used to think it was so much better because that's the one I used to watch all the time, and it was so good. So funny. And the same thing with Cheaper by the Dozen, where we had the first one on video cassette and we had the second one on DVD. So I used to watch the second one all the time. Yeah. But I still think the second.
Oh yeah, I think that's an objective.
I think just because the first one is like, it's more dramatic. Like there's more like drama because it's like actual family problems. Yeah. Like, they have like issues, and the second one is just like fun. The
second one is fun, and there's also like everybody loves a little competition. Come on now.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think the second one was more comedy, and the first one was more like family drama type of thing. I love the. But anyways, it was great. I watched it recently.
I really need to go to do that. Now.
Still great. All right, still great. I'm gonna have to make a list of all the movies I need to rewatch.
I know. Also, this is not here on our list, but Pink Panther 2 was early 2000s. I know.
Oh, wait, when was the first Pink Panther? Isn't that in the 2000s?
2009.
I thought it was like
2006 is the first Pink Panther. 2000.
We should have added that because the Pink Panther.
But there was an
I know
old
I'm
one.
saying every movie's my favorite movie, but there isn't. But I think it was more of an adult.
Was it?
one.
Yeah. Okay.
Wrong,
but we're talking about the one with Steve Martin, just to be clear. I'm sure people know, but yeah.
But I know I'm saying every movie's my favorite movie, but like when I say the Pink Panther was actually my favorite. Like the Pink Panther and Parent Trap, those two were on heavy rotation. I would watch those all the time. I didn't even know who Beyonce was. I thought she was just an actress, and then I realized later in life that I'm like, oh, this Beyonce's famous. Like I used to think she was just the girl from Pink Panther. I swear. That's hilarious.
I knew Beyonce, but I didn't even, like a dummy, I didn't recognize her in the movie. Like I was like, Destiny's Child is a different thing from Beyonce. Like, wait, is it the
same person?
And I was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, because see, when I started I first found out about Beyonce, like I knew Beyonce was a thing when like Single Ladies came out. We were like maybe like 8 years old or something like that. And then I remember watching like the music video, and I'd be like, okay, and I didn't know they were the same person until I looked at the cover, the DVD cover, and I saw Beyonce, and I'm like, but wait, listen, because I was like, Beyonce goes by Beyonce, right? But on the DVD cover it says Beyonce Knowles. Yes. So I was like, oh, is it the same person, or is this like a different Beyonce?
I know,
I'm like,
literally.
There's Beyonce, and then there's Beyonce Knowles.
I had a whole thing with Destiny's Child. Like I could not. Like I knew the songs, but I could not tell you who was what, because I wasn't allowed to watch music videos at the time. So I was like, I didn't know any faces. Like literally, I'm kid you not. Off topic a little bit, but when Michael Jackson died, and they showed his like videos of him on the TV, I literally said, "Who is that puppet on TV?" Because he was so. Yes, I'm not even kidding. He was so. We were probably like 11 or 12. And it was the white thing. Like I did not know this was what happened to him, like with his face and all the surgery. God. And I had only recognized him when he was like younger, with the like when he didn't have all that stuff done. And I had only seen one picture because I was not watching any of the music videos or anything. And then my mom was like, "That's Michael Jackson," and I was like, "What?" So
how?
It's a whole journey with me discovering the faces to the voices. That was a whole thing for me. But
this is also another really off topic, but I remember back in the day, like around the time, I think it was after Michael Jackson passed away. You remember, like, I don't know if you did you have MSN back in the day?
MSN? No, I didn't.
Like, did you have a Hotmail account? Okay. So like back when like everyone had a Hotmail account, and like if you want to talk to your friends, you email them.
Yeah.
Right? People, there would be like chain emails that would always go around, like those ones where it's like, share, like you have to send this to 10 of your friends or else bad luck for 7 years, whatever. There was one that was spreading around about Michael Jackson, and it was super weird. It was like some next like theories about how he died or something, and it was like a weird video, I think, and then it was like a jump scare or something.
Dang.
Like, so basically it was like a little thing saying like, oh guys, like look at this video of Michael Jackson, look how weird it is in the background, and then it's like an interview with him, and then there would be it would be like slowly zooming into something in the background. You're trying to see like what it is, and then there's a jump scare.
Oh man.
Like that was like going around in people's emails, and I remember my dad or something found out about it through like his friend's son, and my dad's like, have you seen this video? Apparently there's like a jump scare going on. I'm like, no, I didn't see anything.
No.
And I remember because then it basically said like, oh my god, this is so bad. It was like, if you don't share it with 10 of your friends, like the ghost of Michael Jackson is gonna haunt you or something. Like it was bad. So and terrible. I was like, oh my god, like I was so terrified because I was like 10 maybe, like it was like in 5th or 6th grade. This is really off topic,
like 11 like, 12. Yeah.
Oh my god, that was such a crazy time. I can't believe that actually happened.
I know. Oh,
anyways. Okay, let's move on. I think to the
last era,
the 2010s. The 2010s, I feel like people overlook it a little bit just because it's recently, but there were a lot of
some good ones.
Movies
some good ones
in the 2010s. We have The Greatest Showman, Karate, like the new Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, Lego Movie, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I haven't seen that one actually.
Me neither. I heard it was really good.
It's like a biopic, right?
Yeah, about Mr. Rogers.
Paddington, Angry Birds, all the Angry Birds movies, Emoji Movies, Odd Life of Timothy Green, Alexander and the Terrible and the Horrible, No Good, whatever, Very Bad Day, Ramona and Beezus, Rio, Tangled, How to Train Your Dragon, blah, 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 Instant Family, those type of things. I think, like I said, now we're at the point where it's like kids are like a market. Like you have movies that are like blockbuster theater movies that are just for kids.
For sure.
Because I think also, I remember when I was like younger, like in the 2000s, it was rare that I went to the theaters to watch like a kids movie. If we were going to the theaters, it was to watch like a family movie that we could all watch together. But then now it's like, I remember like I used to work at summer camps and we would bring the kids to the movie theater, and there's so many movies that are like just for kids.
100%.
Like, and not just Disney, like just like movies that's like you can tell it's like it's for parents to accompany their kids to, even though they're still technically family movies, but like
a lot of the jokes like now, it's like
there's a full market.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like there's a full market now for like children and family movies, and I feel like now it's like the whole movie about a family is becoming a little less common, because there's only two on here that I can see where it's like Ramona and Beezus, and the Alexander one where it's like you actually see an Instant Family, I guess, where you see a whole family. I also forgot to add Grown Ups. I'm pretty sure Grown Ups is 2010s. Is it?
Is Grown Ups that's not a family movie,
isn't it?
No,
I used to watch it with my family.
It's like PG-13, like there's swearing and stuff and all of it. It's like not a,
so it's like a tween.
Yeah, it's like I really don't think it's a family movie. There is a family in it,
because see, I don't
think so.
There's also that newer, I think this, no, never mind. But yeah, so I feel like now it's animated movies are becoming way more like the norm for anything for kids. Like there's not a lot of live action families like you see in the 2000s and the 90s that I can think of, at least. Like I can't think of anything recent. Where it's just a live action family, where it's like, because nowadays people just want to show kids, like I think we're kind of going backwards a little bit, where people are like, oh, they're kids, they just want to watch animated things blow up and like do things like the Emoji Movie and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like so like other than like Pixar, we haven't talked about Disney obviously, but like Pixar movies and Disney movies are still a thing. So it's like there's not a lot of live action family movies.
Not as much.
You don't see the daddy daycares anymore. You don't see the Home Alones anymore.
I wish.
It's really sad.
I know it's sad.
I mean,
but even like
every era has to be different
nowadays. I've seen a couple, and like there's a couple that I've seen, like for example, The Odd Life of Timothy Green and Instant Family, just particularly. They're really good movies. It's just they don't get a hyped. I think that's the thing. Like,
yeah, because kids like now they have more autonomy, so they're like, I want to watch something that I like. It's like parents don't drag their kids to the movie theater.
Like
anymore,
it doesn't matter.
Okay, I like the cool animated colors and everything, so I want to watch that. So the parents like,
exactly,
okay,
like they're like, I'm gonna watch my thing on Netflix. You can go watch your thing on whatever. And this is the end of it. But like, my family specifically, we're like a big movie family, so we do watch like movies like every Friday night. We try to or something together. So that's why I've probably seen a lot of movies that other people have not. But I think they're a little bit moving towards back, a little throwback, I would say, in terms of deeper / sadder realities of family. Like The Odd Life of Timothy Green. Oh my gosh, Monica, that movie, I was like,
was it sad?
I didn't expect it to be sad. I thought it was gonna be fine. It's actually, it's not, it's like bittersweet. It's like, aw, but good, you know? And I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's about a couple who is not able to conceive, right? And they put everything that they want in their child in a box, like and they just like bury it in their backyard, like their last hope, because they're just like, you know what, we can't have kids.
And then he grows,
and then that's Timothy Green. But bruh, you'll be shook. And Instant Family,
I don't think
too.
I'll watch it. It's not really my type of thing, but I can take your word for it.
Instant Family too. That one is not even. That's like not even a family movie. Honestly, that's a little bit. It's a family movie, but there's a lot of swearing in it where it would not work.
I see.
But it's dealing with issues that kids actually do have. You know, that movie was really good. It showed like you know, kids getting adopted through the foster care system, and it was based off a true story too. Beautiful, loved it. There's also Queen of Katwe. Oh my goodness, that I didn't put here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But
I forgot about
very
that
similar to Aquila and the Bee, kind of. It gives me those vibes a little bit.
But because it's like chess instead of spelling
exactly.
Bee, right? Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think they're really good. I think they just are underrated. I think that's what family.
Yeah, I think that's something. The ones that are like that are a little bit more underrated because kids prefer the animated ones.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I mean, obviously the other ones are more exciting, but these are like good movies that I just don't want to discourage people from doing these things, because I feel like they're very original, and that's different. I don't think the other movies, because technically we didn't talk about this, but all the live action remakes are technically in this category, right? But like that's not something that I, as like a movie watcher, am like like that's not something I want to be like yay versus like an original movie where they may be a little more serious, but I'm like, this is like effort and it's like trying to teach you something, versus I don't think the remakes really teach you too much, because it's like either you already learned the lesson from the old one, or you know, or they have to change it a lot to try to teach you something. So I just I hope it still stays in that, like, people don't give up. People won't. I'm sure they won't, but I want them to.
I'm interested. It sucks that like we can't even see what the 2020s hold, because like everything's been on hold, so like we don't even know like all the movies that probably didn't get released this year. Like, you know, it's just it's an interesting time. Like, I'm interested to see what the 2020s are gonna hold, but we're almost at the end of 2020 and like literally nothing has really happened.
I don't expect much. And it's sad. I love watching trailers and like getting ready for like movies that are about to come out, and you can't really do that right now for most of the stuff.
Sad.
So it is pretty sad, but I think this is what's gonna happen. I think Netflix is gonna have to kind of step in and assume,
that's true.
And maybe Disney Plus can obviously do that too. Those two streaming sites are gonna have to step in as the family movie providers for a long time, because
especially now that everyone's moving on to like streaming services now. Like, people don't really go to the theater as much, so like now if Netflix grabs a hold of this genre, they could.
I definitely think that's what they're gonna have to do. You know, if they're smart, and they're gonna do it. So pretty much, but
Netflix has a world of possibilities. They could literally be like the streaming monopoly if they wanted to.
100%. They could kill everybody.
But no, I think also the reason animated movies became so much more popular for kids is because of the Disney Renaissance too.
Yes,
since the 80s, like, because Disney movies are doing so good, all of these studios basically opened up to try to emulate that. Yeah, basically. For sure. You know what I mean? Like, everyone now wants to have it because they realize, okay, kids love the cartoon, so let's make more cartoons. And then that's basically what they did. Like, I even didn't even put movies like Over the Hedge or like, what's that one with the bear? Open Season. Those ones, like, you know, like, those are all kind of trying to piggyback a little bit off of the.
Oh my gosh, that was good.
Yeah, because those all came during the Disney like dry period in like the early 2000s. Before they went through the second Renaissance, around that time, like Chicken Little, all those things. That Chicken Little's Disney, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Meet the Robinsons, Chicken Little, all those things. Yeah.
Yeah, so like during that kind of dry period, the drought or whatever, like Disney, everyone started coming out with like animated movies, and now it's like there's so many studios.
And Pixar was king at the time. That's what was happening because of Toy Story.
And Disney, although Disney's still number one, there's still a lot of like big animated movies that are not Disney that are becoming popular.
Like DreamWorks really
DreamWorks really is up there.
Shrek and How to Train Your Dragon, Madagascar, like they have a lot of good ones, you know.
They have a lot. Oh yeah, DreamWorks actually is pretty good.
No, for sure.
Movies, like,
Megamind too. Their movies are good. Like, they're good.
Madagascar was my freaking childhood too. Yeah. Wow.
See?
I miss, like, I just love reminiscing of like things I used to watch, because movies are so, like, I watched so many movies as a kid. Like, even when I was a kid, I didn't really watch that many TV shows. Like, now I don't watch that many TV shows. Like, movies were it. Like, I would just sit and like play all my DVDs, everything. Like, we had a whole DVD collection, so like I would just watch those. Like, I would never even watch like cable TV unless like until I got to like Family Channel age, I think.
No, I wasn't.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't watch. I wasn't allowed
to watch a lot of TV. So like movies were more controlled. Like, I guess with my parents, they're like, they know what's gonna happen in a movie. Most likely, they can give me a movie. Versus a show, they're like, we don't know what the next episode's gonna do. So they're just like, take these movies. Yeah,
that makes sense.
And they would bring me to Blockbuster. It was just easier that way. And they were like, movies are the way to go.
Like, I used to go to Blockbuster and we would like rent a movie and everything. Oh, good old days.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, not to, overthink, but that's what I do. I'm like thinking about my kids, and I'm like, what am I like? I kind of want them to have sort of like a semblance of my childhood in a way, but I know I can't be like, hey, let's go to Netflix and pick something. Like, it's not the same thing as like Blockbuster.
Yeah, it's really not
going down the aisles,
because now everything's at your fingertips, and it's like the whole excitement of it is like, okay, we have to go to Blockbuster, like you have to get in the car, go there, and you get to pick one out from the shelf, and like you only get to pick one, so it's like you pick one, and then you have that DVD for like the week or whatever it is, and then you have to go.
And when I was good, they would let me
you have a new one.
Pick two, like, a reward system. But now it's just like, you get to watch two on your iPad.
And like for like Christmas gifts, they used to give me and my brother like DVDs for Christmas, and we loved it.
I still do that actually.
Kung Fu Panda for Christmas.
It's not too bad. Kids still kind of enjoy it now. I don't know about recently.
But I guess in the future, it's gonna be like, okay, why would you give me this?
Definitely
I can just watch it on Netflix, or it's like I could just stream it online or whatever.
For sure.
But like, yeah, we used to get DVDs as like gifts, and we used to love it because every time a new DVD got added to my collection, that's like a new movie that like was cemented into my childhood. Because like I said, I used to watch every DVD we had in our collection because I didn't really watch cable TV. If I was just sitting in our basement, like downstairs, I would just be watching DVD like movie after movie, like marathons throughout the day. So it was like just such an important part of my childhood. I miss it.
Aww. Okay, guys, we just reminisced all about our TV movie induced childhoods, you know. Maybe we should have gone outside, but don't talk about that. I prefer it's okay. We were all good inside.
But yeah, I think in the future, I just hope that they keep teaching kids good lessons. Yeah, because that's the whole, like, you gotta same way some parents like hide vegetables in their kids like meals. Yes. You gotta hide a lesson into like a fun kids movie. Just you gotta like let them learn a little something. You know,
perfect. And I feel like I learned a lot about other families. Honestly, I think that's and I think I want them to continue to do that. Because I think I learned almost the most about other people in family movies rather than like I don't know, any type of other movie. Like in an action movie, I'm less likely to learn about people's experiences. I might learn how to break some.
Like I want to see different types of families too, like LGBTQ families, different cultures, immigrant families. You know, I feel like you need it's a really great way to expose to kids that like families are all different and
for sure,
you know, different experiences, but we can all relate.
Yes. All right. That was a good
guys.
episode.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of us. I hope this inspired you maybe to go revisit some of your favorite childhood movies. Yeah. And yeah, we'll see you next week, I guess, for another episode. We don't know which one it'll be, but you'll find out.
You'll find out if it's a
movie review. Yes. Who knows if it'll be a new one, an old one. As usual, subscribe to this podcast, give us a good review, follow us on Instagram at FlickChicksPod. You know the drill.
Yeah, baby.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.